so we could give it a couple of minutes. Welcome to the Israel Film Center Festival. I'm Isaac Zablocki. I'm the director of film programs at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan, and we're very excited about our event now. Take this time now, this is when I always give my little speech, to explore Zoom a little bit in case you're not used to it yet. This is your time to, first of all, feel free to use your camera, please be dressed. Right now I like to enjoy gallery view so I could see all the members of our community and all of our friends out there. And then please join us once we start the conversation. Switch to speaker view so you could really focus on the individuals who are joining us today to speak. I'll explain all the rules of the Q&A after some introductory remarks and some other specials that we'll be sharing with you today. But we hope you had the opportunity to view the film Peaches and Cream. If not, it's going to be available until midnight tonight. So you'll have your opportunity to watch it even after the Q&A. We'll take one more minute to let everybody join for the latecomers who are still figuring out how to work their Zoom. You are muted, but we will explain how you can join the conversation and be unmuted if you have questions for our panelists, which I'll share with you all of that in a moment. But now I think we're ready to jump in. First, it gives me great pleasure to introduce, to share with you our festival trailer. We'll be doing this before every Q&A this week. And then I'm going to hand things over to Rabbi Joy Levitt, the executive director of the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan, to say some introductory words. So please enjoy our trailer.
2, 3, 4.
Over to you, Joy.
Everybody, welcome and thank you so much for coming to the 8th annual Israel Film Center Festival. I'm Rabbi Joy Levitt. As Yitzi said, I'm the executive director of the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. I want to start by acknowledging this exceptionally challenging time in our city and in our country. The JCC, like many organizations in Jewish life, is committed to the work of ending systemic racism that inhabits our city. And I could think of no better staff and community to do this work with than the people I'm looking at on this screen and on these screens, and our extraordinary staff that in just such a few short weeks managed to pivot first our Real Abilities Film Festival online, and now this amazing Israel Film Center Festival. The JCC is proud to be the leading presenter of Israeli films in America. When we first started this program, all thanks to the amazing support of my dear friend, Carole Zabar, our goal was to introduce to the American audience Israel's budding film programs. Today, Israel has a full-out blossoming industry. And while we so wish we could see you all in person, in our auditorium. We're delighted to see so many of you virtually. All the films presented this week shed light on Israeli society and its diverse communities. Join us throughout the week for conversations with some of Israel's leading stars and filmmakers. We are proud of the Carole Zabar Center for Film, the folks who never stop, even now, to continue to present film programs and conversations weekly. A huge thanks to some of the people you see on the screen. You sometimes don't see them when they're in the auditorium because they're in the back. Yara Kedem, Morgan Magid, and of course, Isaac Zablocki. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do to keep film alive in our world. For lovers of Israeli film, we are proud to share that this year we launched our Israel Film Center Fund and have already supported 2 upcoming films in Israel. I want to give a big shout out to our community who at these challenging times stood up and supported us to enable to continue our work. A big thank you to Ronald Gutman and to the Consul General of Israel, the Office of Cultural Affairs. And we would like to acknowledge the great work of Buni Kochavi, the Consul General of Cultural Affairs, and Daniel Suz, the Director of Film and Media. It gives me great pleasure to introduce a great friend to the JCC, Ambassador Dani Dayan, the Consul General of Israel here in New York. Dani.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Joy. Thank you not only for introducing me, but especially for all the work you do constantly, and this festival in particular. I see here many friends on my grid, many faces of friends, names of friends, Israelis, Jewish, and at least one Palestinian friend that I saw here. Welcome all. Thank you, Isaac, for heading this wonderful endeavor, and we are glad you recovered from COVID-19. We followed your tribulations over the Facebook, and we are glad to see you healthy now. Hope you are totally healthy now. And you know, that brings me to the thought that in these days of quarantine and lockdowns and curfews even, the social media is a good storyteller. But I think that in the battle between the 2 nice Jewish boys, between Mark Zuckerberg and Steven Spielberg, between the social media and the cinema, as storytellers, I think that the cinema wins by knockout. In these days in which we are mostly close at home, I think that the cinema is one of the ways that can bring us together to see stories and to share them later with one another. There is, I think, these days no better medium than the cinema. If we are talking in general about cinema as a storyteller, I think that the Israeli cinema has excelled in the last years as a superb storyteller, of a society that is exciting, diverse. Really, it has represented the entire exciting mosaic, the diverse mosaic that the Israeli society is these days. I must say that from all the amazing schedule of this festival, I connect especially to 2 films. One that is very proper, very appropriate these days, the film about Olsi Perry. I think that Olsi Perry is the most famous African American that ever resided in Israel. Actually, he was an Israeli, even a Jew. He played for the Israeli basketball team, and I think that he no doubt he's one of the most admired persons ever to be in Israel, for sure, as an African American. The second is very personal. Probably I should have started with that, with full disclosure, the film about the Dayan family. I am part of the Dayan family. Actually, my late grandfather, whose name was also Moshe Dayan, in spite of the fact that he had two eyes, and the more famous Moshe Dayan with one eye and a patch, they had a common great grandfather. One part of the family emigrated from Ukraine to Eretz Israel, to was then Palestine. The other part of the family, which I belong to, emigrated to Argentina, and later we came to Israel. So actually it's a film that I am personally, emotionally, and familiarly involved with, and thank you for including it. Thank you so much for having one more edition of this festival, in spite of all the difficulties that the virus poses among us. I will conclude by saying that, you know, among the many that tried to separate between the Jewish community in New York, in America, in the world, and Israel, we had this year another obstacle, the corona, but with your determination and your insistence, even the corona doesn't succeed to separate between us. Thank you, and toda rabba.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dani. Thank you all. I'm going to jump very quickly into the Q&A. I'll just remind you of a few things. First of all, if you haven't switched now to speaker view, this is a good chance to move to speaker view, so you could really focus on the conversation. We hope you enjoyed the film. We hope you've seen the film already. If not, again, as I mentioned before, the film's available till midnight tonight. All the rest of the films of the festival will become available tonight at 7 p.m. So you could start watching other films from the festival and then join us daily for the different Zoom conversations. This film actually was our #1 seller so far and sold over 360 tickets. So I think there's a lot of people who want to be a part of this conversation. Luckily, we're going to put all of our conversations directly on YouTube as well. So you can watch, you can tell your friends that they can see the conversations on YouTube. Also, while you're on your computers, help spread the word, mention the film on Facebook, send some emails to your friends, and let them know about the festival going on this week, because it's really a special week where you could get to see some quality films out of Israel that normally you would not get to see anywhere else. And we're really proud of the selections. I really like to say there's absolutely something for everyone. I want to give one more thank you to our team here. Yara and Morgan especially, and Sam too, who's our tech guy, who made this all happen virtually. Cannot imagine how much more complicated this gets. And I want to give a big thank you to all of our amazing partners. Some of the sponsors were mentioned already, but our partners, if you go to our partner page, you could really check each and every one of them out and see the wonderful work that they're doing and find more ways to connect to our community. One more shout out, since she joined the conversation late, to Carole Zabar, who without her, none of this would happen, and is really the instigator to all of this. And she'll be here in person, hopefully, when we run our Other Israel Film Festival, which happens, it's going to happen this year in December, hopefully somewhat live, if not more. We have hope. Now it gives me great pleasure to jump into our Q&A for today. And the film Peaches and Cream, I'll just say, premiered at the Jerusalem Film Festival last year. And it's such a cinematic film that we felt it was a perfect way to open this festival. And it really makes a statement on where Israeli cinema is today, as Israel is no longer a small industry, as Joy mentioned, just trying to make its way and breaking through to some festivals. I'd say every major international film festival has an Israeli film or multiple Israeli films. Israeli filmmakers now travel the world to many international film festivals and are recognized. And I think it allows for these stories to become a lot more universal. And I think all the stories this week that we see are in many ways very specific, but are also very universal. And Peaches and Cream is a great example of that. So we're really happy to have here the star, the writer, the director of the film, Gur Bentwich. Gur, please turn on your camera and join us if he's still there. He's still there. Gur, can we hear you? Unmute your mic.
Now, okay.
There we go.
That's good.
You all they recognize Gur even without as much of a beard. And Maya Kenig. There's Maya, who, for those of you who could not tell by the chemistry between them on screen, are partners not only behind the scenes, but also behind the scenes and off screen outside of their film work too. We're also very proud, you might not recognize him behind his mustache, but the angel of the film, as I believe he's referred to, also the taxi driver, Dover Kosashvili. Dover's here with us. For those of you who recognize Dover or his name, you might be familiar with him as the director of Late Marriage, which was actually one of the breakthrough films for the Israeli industry in America and internationally in general. Dover, thank you for being with us as well.
Thank you, Isaac. Good evening, everybody. Afternoon, maybe?
It's afternoon here, 4 p.m., 4:15. And Dover will be taking you for a ride in his taxi afterwards and charging you for the ride. If you haven't seen the film, you have no idea what we're talking about. Gur, let me start with you and tell me, I mean, is this about you? Is this about you as a filmmaker? Where did this concept come from? How did you think of this idea for the film?
It's a tough one. Of course, it's about me. Like every film is about its maker, I guess, in a way. In this particular film, it's even more so because also, maybe it's a spoiler for people who haven't seen the film, but I have suffered from a heart attack, like the main guy does. And I went through a lot of the stuff that goes in the movie. But nevertheless, I don't consider it autobiographical in a sense, just because I don't like autobiographical films. So I don't consider it one, but yeah, I guess it's about me, basically, whether I like it or not.
Interesting you should say that, because the last film we had of you, I believe, was an autobiographical film about your family. A documentary.
Yeah, no, that one was really about that. Just by the way, I have to apologize for Maya because we have a baby daughter who just started crying, so Maya's going to quiet her down. We'll see if it works out and if she comes back.
Understood. And thank you for joining us at midnight in Israel. Dover, let me ask you, you're usually behind the camera. How did you get involved to take this role as and really, I remember when I saw the film originally, and some people didn't know that in some ways you're involved in the industry, and it was a little bit of a cameo. People just wanted to know, who was this amazing guy who played the taxi driver? So tell us about how you got involved.
It's because of Gur. He asked me, so I can't refuse.
Gur, why did you think of Dover for this role? Is he the only Russian?
I first started thinking about him for the main role because I saw him somewhere and I noticed he's a great actor, and I thought he could do the main guy. He's also a director. He also has been around and felt some failure in his life. He's probably going to do it good. And so he did a very good audition, but then I decided to take the main part for myself just because I could. But then I already knew him and got along well with him. And I said, so if he doesn't do the main part, he might as well do the sidekick or whatever you call his part. And so it went.
Dover, how was it to be directed?
Great.
Did you learn from Gur? Was it a learning process? Are you going to use some of Gur's methodology in your next film?
I found it's much easier, it's much easy to act say, in comparing to directing, it's much easier. When you are directing, you are dealing with so many decisions and choices and things. But as actor, it was great, especially when your director knows exactly what he wants. So it was easy, much better for me to act than to direct.
Gur, for you, this film is this is obviously coming. You've already directed how many feature films? I'm going to say
This is my fourth feature fiction.
Your fourth fiction, and if you haven't seen Gur's other films, Gur's really a trailblazer when it comes to the Israeli film industry, and has created some of the most, I'd say, unique and groundbreaking films in Israeli film history. And I'd say it was much before the Israeli film industry is what it is today. And it always came with I'd say an independent spirit. I find this film to be your most mainstream film. Did you feel that way production-wise? Did you feel that way as far as your artistic process?
I think my movies are like a reflection of myself, obviously, and with the years, I'm turning more and more mainstream as a person, as like I'm a parent now, and I'm living together with Maya for many years. So I became myself kind of a more, I don't know if you can be a mainstream person, like a more normal person than I used to be like 25 years ago. When I was really extreme, my movies were also a bit more offbeat. But I guess the older I get, I'm kind of more part of humankind these days. And I'm kind of more, so are my films. Kind of, they relate to more people, because I do.
I agree. We pasted some of your past films in the chat box here, but I'll also mention I just actually watched Total Love, which I'd seen as a young man, and I saw that it was digitally restored. You posted it on Facebook or somewhere, I think, and I reviewed it, and it's amazing how that film captures, I feel, a sentiment of the 90s so well, even though it's probably like 2000. It was like right then capturing something, an era that I think is no longer. How do you feel about revisiting that film?
Because we did all the digital remastering, so I watched it like a few times lately, and they're like all my sons. I like it, and yeah, I still love it after all those years. I'm not very I'd call it. I try not to be too nostalgic, because that's kind of dumb to start adoring older films of yourself. So I hold myself back, but the truth is I still love them after all those years. And yep, I'm proud. I can't imagine I made them when I was so much younger. So I'm kind of proud.
Definitely still holds up. Co-written by Edgar Carrot, by the way, if I remember correctly. So for those of you who are familiar, try to find that one. It's a great film. Let me ask you, I want to ask you a little bit of a technical question. One of the things I love about this film is the colors. It's definitely stylized and unique as far as actually the whole film takes place at night except for that last scene, as I recall.
Yeah.
And it's all very much with this, like, you have that one night experience. And I noticed a lot of reds and blues. Tell us a little bit about how you stylized the visuals for the film.
We had this very איך אומרים, דעתן has a דעתן, Dover, how do you say that? Never mind. We had this the cinematographer who has very strong opinions about stuff.
Datan, opinion, got it.
Opinionated, yeah. And he read the script, and then he said, I know what we should do, it's all night, let's do it black and white. That's the guy Raz, that's the cinematographer. He said, let's do it black and white. It's very arty and it will help us and stuff. And I went home and thought about it and I said, no, wait, we're not going to do it black and white. And then I told him, no, I'm sorry, but it's not going to be black and white. It's going to be color. And I think he decided that his revenge was going to be, he's going to fill it with so many colors and it will be so saturated that I'm gonna make it black and white in the post-production or something. So he overdid all the colors, but very extreme colors, but I enjoyed it and I liked it. But the color scheme actually started from kind of, it sounds kind of not too clever, maybe it wasn't too clever. I had this sweatshirt, yellow sweatshirt, which I loved walking around with. I think I have it, no, I don't have it here. But if you watch the film, I'm walking all the time in the movie with this yellow sweatshirt. And when he said, okay, you want colors, but which colors is it going to be based on? I said, look, it's me always in the frame and I'm going to be wearing this yellow sweatshirt. So everything else has to work with this yellow. So then we went for blue and red because it worked with the yellow. I know it doesn't sound too clever artistically, but that's the truth behind the colors. And I think it worked out fine. And I think there's some red from Taxi Driver. We did watch, the only movie we watched before we went to think about how to shoot the movie was Taxi Driver. And I don't know if you've seen it lately. It's a very, very red movie. It's also happening obviously in a taxi like Dover, and it's at night. And it's very red. So we took the reds from there, I believe, and the yellow from the sweatshirt, and then we added some blue, and it worked out fine.
Interesting. And I was thinking actually of another Scorsese movie. He has a movie that takes place in one night downtown, and also
After Hours, yeah.
After Hours, yeah. I was reminiscent of that a little bit. I'm about to open it to questions from the audience,
I wanted to say one more thing about Dover before we go. Why I casted him, if I may.
Please.
Because you asked why I took Dover, and I was before I gave the answer of how it came to be, but not the answer about why I think he was best for the part. Apart from being a great actor, which he is, I thought, and when he read the script, the first thing he said is, "I know what the part is. I'm actually playing an angel." It was his insight about him, and he was totally right. And I thought a good casting is to bring somebody to a part that you can't guess by his face that he's going to be the angel. Like if Dover looked like an angel in first sight, it would be interesting to watch the guy for 90 minutes and then understanding he's an angel because you could see it on his face from the first frame. But the nice thing about Dover is he's an angel hiding inside a face, which you'd never guess is it actually an angel. So it gives you time to discover who's behind the face. So I like this kind of two oppositions between who he really is and who he seems to be in first sight. And this tension, I think, makes the character nice. If you don't mind me saying so, Dover.
And I think angels in real life are probably more like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they are as we perceive them, maybe because of the way movies have put them. So my last question before we open it to questions from the audience, and by the way, audience, if you have any questions, this is your time where you could start putting them into the chat box and we'll call on you and open your mic. But I wanted to know, so the film, and Dover, please feel free to give your opinion on the film here as an Israeli filmmaker. Is the film reflective of Israeli cinema today? How does it play its part within Israeli cinema today? And would you say that this film is more of a metaphor, or is it actually just the trials and tribulations of a filmmaker, of the film world?
You asked Dover that.
No, I'm asking Gur. You could start, and then we'll bring in Dover and another person who could comment on this. Sorry, we have a special guest, one of Israel's biggest stars. Alon Aboutboul is here with us. Alon, you want to join us? Where's Alon? You want to Can we undo his mic? He's Alon, you there?
Yes, hi.
Alon Aboutboul is here with us.
Hello, man. Hello, guys. Nice to see you. Nice to be with you. So, won't you repeat the question? Hey, Maya. Hey, Gur. Sweet. I'm fixing my camera.
So now I'm going to change the question for a minute. I want to know who came latest to set every day out of the 3 teams here.
Oh, I don't know. I came not for many days. Who came latest? Gur.
I always come on time. I'm kind of obsessive about time. I know it's not cool, but that's me. And Maya, since she's living with me, she had to come with me most of the days. I believe Alon. I would believe Alon. If you don't
What?
mind.
No, I don't mind. Okay, what, Alon? Come late?
Came
No.
late. Alon, let me just bring you in to make you part of the conversation and tell us a little bit about how you got involved with this project. Folks, if you don't know Alon Aboutboul's amazing work and has been at our Israel Film Center Festival before, but we have, he's in, I'd say 3/4 of the Israeli films dating back to the 80s. And is an international star as well, and really does amazing work. And Alon, you did a great job in this film. It looked like a lot of fun, your role. Tell me how you got involved with it and how you decided to take this role.
Well, Gur and myself have made a movie 25-something years ago, even more. It's called Planet Blue. Since I was a young actor, not many directors were my age or my generation. Gur and later on Dover, which I've worked with on and later on in the years, Gur made the Planet Blue and I helped him produce it and act in it. 25 years later, he came with pictures and said, can you come to be my friend? Which of course we didn't have to rehearse anything. I know the friend, I know the Gur. And it was just an opportunity for us to re-meet again. And really, I just want to bless or congratulate Gur and all, and Dover and Maya for a fantastic movie. I think it's the most unimportant, important movie I've ever seen. And it's a compliment.
Thank you, Alon. Maya, since I see you joined us too, I just wanted to ask you about the editing process and what it's like. I can't imagine what it's like. You guys are raising children together, making movies together, acting in movies, and then have to sit there and edit together. At what point and how hard are you allowed to punch Gur in the face?
At what point? Yes, pretty much in the beginning. And then we can start working. It's a mess, you know. Our life is very messy. There's always a film going on, and we always have to like buy time somehow with the kids and all the stuff around. But once we sit down and we do the job, it's great. Did I answer your question? I don't know.
Good. And I'll note in Maya's case, the movie Off-White Lies, which she directed and stars Gur, and we presented as well and had a wonderful release. And I think also captures a nice side of your world. I would love to take questions from our audience now. So I'm handing it over to you. Our first question is from Karen Hockhauser. Karen, you there?
Ooh, you said that properly. I'm so impressed.
I get it right.
Want to thank everybody who's been involved in the film. I did see it already, and it was very brilliant. And I invited my father to see. And so just a side comment is, your subtitles were very clear and big and easily readable. And that was something that may not have been thought that much about, but really very much valued. My question though was more about the title. I wanted to know what the meaning was behind it. I didn't necessarily see a peach, but that is what I'm intrigued about.
Who should answer? Should I answer?
Gur, you could start.
The truth is, it's semi-translated from Hebrew. You're asking about the Hebrew title or the English title? Or I don't know if you speak
Both.
also Hebrew.
Whatever
Both.
you'd like to share.
First of all, it's based on a mistake. The title, my mistake. There's this song. I thought in Hebrew you say instead of peaches and cream, cherries and cream, but never mind, the same idea. And I thought it's an expression in Hebrew, and I used that expression for many years. When people ask me how is it going, I would say, oh, it's going cherries and cream or whatever. And I thought it's an expression in Hebrew, but only when I finished the movie, I realized that it's not really an expression in Hebrew. It's based on a line in a song that only I took it as an answer and as an expression. Nobody else uses it. And so nobody else knew what I was talking about all those years of misunderstanding, which were gone. And that, I only realized that by the time the movie was finished. But the idea was that like he's going through such a rough time, the main guy. And I thought it was kind of ironic to call it like peaches and cream, like hunky-dory, life's a pie or whatever you say in this situation when you're about to die and you're thinking about your death. So it's kind of like, but another truth is I wasn't really sure about the name. I still am not that sure about the name even till this very day. I don't think this is the highlight of the movie. Like there's bigger parts in the movie than the name, the title itself. And like you remember, there's a scene in the movie when I meet this guy and I tell him have a crazy life or something, and he says, "Did you call the movie?" It's true that I was kind of thinking which of these names is better. That's why I have this scene about. So it's not really a good reason. I'm sorry, but what happens is when you start writing a script, you just write something down. And next thing you know, after half a year, you're so used to it, like also the names of the characters, you're so used to them, you can't imagine it being otherwise different. So you're just stuck with what you got used to, even if it has no sense whatsoever, I guess. I hope that satisfied your...
Thank you. Next up, we have Yoni. Yoni, are you ready?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Gur.
I know you.
Yes, you do. So I was watching it and obviously I knew about your heart attack, and it's something that I thought it was coming. I knew it was coming, a movie about your heart attack. But I wonder, watching this, it was like full of cameos, right? You had Aboutboul and Tinkerbell and people from your films, and you have the filmmaker talking about your films, talking about life, talking about creation, talking about the editing process, talking about, you know, frustrations and relationships and all this stuff. And I just wonder when you decided I'm gonna go ahead and do a thing like this and do something that's feels like some sort of midlife crisis, or later on, like I'm gonna deal with everything here. At least when I'm watching this, to me, I don't know. When you're watching it now, or when you're having conversations with Maya, because this seems like something that has a lot to do with your personal, how you see yourself, to me. How do you feel about it? Like when you start the film with you watching the movie with Maya, right? And you guys are having a conversation about how it should be and how people should be reacting. And I'm sorry for taking it so personally, but I'm actually a guy who invited you to talk about me in a movie about me personally, right? So to me, that's always what I'm seeing. And I just wonder for you, like watching your stuff, watching other people watch your stuff, watch what seemed like an expression of you dealing with your life, and inviting people from your past into it to try to tell you something. If that was some sort of cathartic experience, if you were trying to let something out, and where you are now. This has been like a very long process since you started it. And I'm just wondering, are you just moving on to the next thing? Like Tzachigrad told you, just move on? Or this is something that you're still doing?
I think Yitzhak asked me before about how autobiographical it is, the movie. And I told him I hate autobiographical movies. And I know it sounds like ironic or paradox, but the thing is, to make a movie about yourself, I think the best idea is not to think about it, not to be too aware. I believe in not being aware, not kind of thing, trying not to think about the reasons and the meaning and all that kind of stuff, and ignore it and act stupid, really dumb about it. And when people tell you, hey, it's about your life, you say, no, it's just a coincidence, I don't know. I know he had a heart attack. I had a attack. I know, and this is Alon. Yeah, he acted in a movie of mine 25 years ago, but it's all a coincidence. There's no planning, and there's no kind of subconscious, and there's no dealing. And this way, kind of, you're more, I know it doesn't sound clever, but this is better in not being overconscious, and because it becomes too heavy, somebody who's, it's heavy enough dealing with yourself so much, so you don't have to overdo it. So I'm trying to ignore all this part, and that, if you ask how I deal with it, I don't.
I wanted to connect this question. I was starting to ask a question before, and then I interrupted myself with Alon. But really, this film, in some ways, I felt plays homage to a lot of Israeli cinema. You have Alon Aboutboul, one of Israel's biggest stars. You have all these cameos, as Yoni mentioned. You have Dover playing an angel, which is, I feel, so symbolic of the history of Israeli cinema. Were you making this about cinema, about Israeli cinema and the status of it? Was it just playing with the world of cinema that you live in?
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm trying not to say more of the same all the time. But movies that talk about movies kind of sound lame, because life is more full and interesting than movies. I don't have anything smart to say about movies. It's true, I used Dover, it was a very good director, and there's many directors in the movie, because I know a lot of directors, and they're good actors, and they're easy to handle, because they've been directors themselves, so they don't give you a hard time on the set. But I wouldn't want to make a movie about movies, because it's kind of regurgitating your I think that's definitely not my my meaning anyway. I don't know if it can be translated like that, but it's not my meaning.
Right.
But what about Maya? Maybe Maya has an insight.
No.
She's outside of the
Off screen. Let's take a question from Janice. Janice, your mic is open. Janice, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. It was terrific. I saw the film, and I have just a few questions. One, was Dover supposed to speak at times Arabic, and also was he supposed to be an Arab Israeli? Because I didn't hear him speaking Arabic to his mother, so I was just wondering, and if that was implied, or that was one question. And another question: what is the significance? What message would you like us to know? I get it that don't have an obsession of anything, because it could color your life, not the direction you want it. I would love to know what your significance that you gave to, well, the change of afterwards when you say, I hope. Does it change your life? I hope. And in how ways would you want to change your life? Well, in that film. So what's
should I answer? I'm not sure if Dover should answer from Arabic. I think Dover can do a better job with the language issue.
No, you the second question you wrote the film. So I would love to know your significance, because what I read into it is interesting too, but what did you feel you learned from your heart attack? And that's
Okay.
and how is it changed?
Okay. So I'll also say about the language, just in a short, he was talking Georgian, not Arabic. Georgian, because Gaussian, I don't know how you say it in English. Georgian. Because Dover also speaks Georgian, and that's the way he can speak without me understanding. But it's not anything political. It's just coming from that country. And as for what I did learn, when you say I hope I learned, this I did mean actually. I keep saying I didn't mean this is all by mistake, but it's not true. It's not by mistake. I really meant that when you have a heart attack, when you almost die, you have a near-death experience. I felt it made everything come. You know, you think about your life. You think about what was worth living. You're scared of losing it all. You think about what you what's important for you. Obviously, all the cliche things you do think about them when you're about to die. And you do think that once, if you live, you'll be able to enjoy life more, appreciate the little things in life, hold to life, enjoy the moment, stop all the dealing with nonsense. That's what you think to yourself. You say, oh God, if I'm going to live, I'm going to be different. I'm going to be nicer. Everything's going to be nicer. I'm going to appreciate everything. Life is so beautiful. Is it a shame to stop it just now? Can't I have some more years, please? And then I imagine most people go through this when they're about to die or have a near-death experience. But not the problem, but the way it goes is that a few weeks later, after you're back to life, it's very easy to forget and to go back to your life. That's what we all do. So I think what I meant was, obviously it's very easy to say, oh yeah, I understood a lot from my almost near-death experience. Now I'm a better man. I'm enlightened. I've seen the light. I know, blah blah blah. But it's not true, because the way we are, we have this. We don't really change. That's also something about movies. In movies, people always, in American mainstream movies, people can in an hour and a half change totally and come out different people. But in life, we don't so much, we don't change so dramatically, I feel. In my last 55 years, I didn't change that dramatically, I'm afraid to say. So what I was meaning is actually, of course, yeah, I would want to have, like Dover says, for my chakra to open, to have this big realization. And I hope it did change something in me, but I can't be really sure I've changed, you know, because we don't really change that much. We change just a bit. I don't know if that's convincing, but I guess that's what I meant.
Let me.
You're muted. Oh, she's muted.
She can unmute, but let me. I think you answered the question well. Let me ask. Let me give the question to the next person. Teme, if I'm pronouncing correctly. You're up.
Hi. Actually, it's Jeff. My wife is here with me. But I'm a screenwriter, beginning screenwriter, and I was wondering what your writing process is like, and how basically, what is your discipline with regards to how did you go about writing this film?
My strategy is to start writing without deciding what am I going to write about. Because I found that if you already give yourself a theme before you start writing, you kind of strict yourself to something which turns out to be too thematic, too too much of a straight story. So I just start from piling up life experiences and ideas and dreams and bits of dialogue I heard and liked, and just piling, and hoping through rereading it that somehow it's going to sculpture itself into a form. And later on, helping it, obviously. It's not like totally random, but the beginning, I believe that instead of deciding what am I going to write about, I'm just writing everything. And then I see what I like and what not. So it kind of is more democratic for the material I'm interested to find me, and not for me kind of to dictate what's it going to be about. I don't know if it works for everybody like this, but it works fine for me. Only it's a longer process. Instead of being a professional scriptwriter, which in 3 weeks can finish a script, for me it takes 3 years because of that. Because it starts in a random way, and it finally looks for the plot search itself. So it's a longer process, but I believe the final thing is more I can relate to more, because it's not just ideas I made up. It's kind of something that came out from my life experience. What? Organically out of me. Try it. I don't know whatever works,
I want to ask Alon and Dover both the same question. I want to ask you guys what you're working on now, and then Gur, we want to hear what's coming next for you. Alon,
let Dover answer first.
Alon, you could also tell us some projects that you've worked on that are still coming that you did already.
Well, no, you're just without knowing, you just stabbed 2 wounded hearts here. Dover and myself, we were going to do also a reunion after 20 years. And one of the most wonderful projects, or I don't know how to say it, but we did a short film many years ago. And Dover said, yeah, I'm doing it as a feature film, so come and play. And I was all into that. And we were fixing, because I'm working in the States in Snowfall, which is a series, FX network, about the crack cocaine epidemic in the United States. We've started the 4th season, and then coronavirus stopped everything, and unfortunately has sabotaged our, I can't come. It's like it's fresh. We're still, we just hopes. But yeah, that's the truth of it.
I just thought that you look like brothers now when I see you in Zoom, you and Dover.
If it wasn't for the Georgian, maybe Dover could have a leash, but he needs preparation, unlike you, because with Gur, I didn't know as well my dates, but without coronavirus, I can play with them, and I have collaboration from all the people I work with. I can travel and do 5 days with Gur and then go back and do the rest of the things I do, which was firstly the plan with Dover, which everything seemed like possible. And yet Dover is speaking in Georgian, in the language, which is an amazing language by itself. And a trip for me as an actor, because I like to do languages, and also to, painful.
And Dover, what else are you working on? Tell us more.
I had a plan to cast Alon in my next film, which will be shot in July and August, but Alon cannot make it, and I still bleeding. But I have to shoot it during the holidays, because there is lots of kids in this film, and they are available only just during the vacation. So I have to.
Dover, I can do it. I can play Alon Aboutboul. I very much like him. People mix up all the time between me and Alon.
You wouldn't be able to know your lines in Georgian, Gur.
Yeah, maybe that's a problem.
You're too much of an anarchist director.
He'll say whatever he wants. We see the casting process right here. Thank you. Guys, I want to first of all thank you all so much for being here. Maya, thank you for joining us too. I know putting the kid to sleep. It's late at night in Israel. And Alon, thank you for joining us from LA. Dover, thank you for joining us. I want to thank our marketing team, Jessica and Allison, who have been getting the word out about this festival. And I want to thank all of you for your help in getting the word out about the festival. Please get people to join us this week. We're here. We're going to be here with Q&As every day. The movies are available now for the next week. I'm going to send out emails for those of you who register to other films. Starting tonight at 7 p.m. You'll be able to start watching all the other wonderful films from the festival. We hope to see you at other Q&As and throughout the week and maybe in person soon. Please stay safe, everyone. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you soon. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.